Oh my God. There we go. What's up, world?
It's all right. It's private. But yeah, what is up?
Well, I mean, but this is what's going to go on YouTube. So
Yes,
everybody's
it
going to see
is.
this
Yes, it
part.
is.
So
Yes, it
what
is.
is up? This works. This is our working, finding out that this is the first time that Big Z's life just got so much easier because
It did.
for those of you who don't know, this is only going to be on YouTube. This is not going to be on the podcast. So this is like a perk of like following us on YouTube.
Right.
Um,
You get some
yeah,
raw,
raw
raw
material.
content. Yeah. So, um, I'm not big into the YouTubes and the Google owning YouTube. I just the policies and stuff was getting to me. Anyways, um, so we've been struggling the last month on how to start a live because we're just old men and we just don't know how to activate settings. And
That's
this
right.
is it. We figured
This
it
is
out
it.
somehow. Happy New Year to us. Happy New Year to us. I'm pumped. Um, so we're gonna start the live feed. Here we go on the podcast. I'm just gonna share my screen real quick here.
But keep joining us on YouTube. So now you know all of our episodes will be up on YouTube. Like
Yes,
guaranteed
sir.
they'll be locked in. So we did it. We figured out some things, which is
We
just
did it,
incredible.
dude.
Incredible.
Hack. I hacked it. Not
He
really. I
hacked
did not
it. Big
hack you. I
Z,
did not
Big
hack
Z the
you,
hacker.
Google.
Big Z the hacker. Anonymous is coming for you, bro. They're
That's
coming
right.
right for you.
Right. Right.
Coming at you, bro.
And for our podcast folk, here we go.
Yes. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome. Happy New Year. This is our first episode after the new year. We are officially in 2024. And I got to tell you, Big Z, a little bit, 2024 is already handing it to your boy. Okay. So
Tell me how. Tell me
I,
how.
I'm running off a little bit of sleep. All right, check this out. We're washing clothes, right? We're
Okay.
washing clothes. I load the washer. Life is great. Going to switch it. Life is great. Danielle hits the next load. She calls me while I'm out doing my thing, doing my route. She's like, "Hey, our washer's leaking." I'm like,
Oh
okay.
no.
Well, I'm a pool man. I am not a washer man. I don't know
Right.
what to do. So why don't we call somebody who does know what they're doing? We're gonna
Okay.
figure this out. Turns out it's leaking. Turns out there's some type of rodent that had chewed up a part of the washer,
Oh no.
and we are not rodent people. So we are usually very cleanly. Like, let me just say, if you saw my house, we also have people over. Like, it's a very clean house.
Right.
And
Yeah.
somehow this thing got into our house and ruined my washer, which I'm told is actually super common. I was like, why is this common? Like, well, they like the
Well,
water
they
and they
get
like
in
the
the
right
vent,
the
right?
vent. Yes, so
Yes,
they
the
get into the
vent.
vent.
Yeah.
So apparently our vent is uncovered. So we just found out, which is very exciting.
Oh no.
So anyway, so I'm getting a new washer and dryer because apparently the old washer, it's a stackable, right? They stack on top of each other. They no longer make parts for this old washing machine. And so I was like, all right, well, you know what, Danielle, that's a blessing in disguise because, you know, your boy's I'm a positive individual.
Right. Of
Like,
course.
we have way more clothes than we did when we first moved into this house. The boys are on like 8 different teams. I was
Right.
like, let's just go get one of those like max load washer and dryers where we can just throw everything in. And
That's
she's
kind of
like,
cool.
yeah.
Like,
So,
is it one of
yep.
those ones that you can connect to your phone? Like you can like
Yeah.
download an
So,
app and then you
so
can start
exactly.
it like when
They
you're at
have
the
all these,
game.
they
If
have
you're
all these
coaching, you're like,
perks.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta start the dryer right now. I forgot it. Or I gotta
The,
start the wash.
Here's
Here
the
we
best
go.
part about that is we probably will never use that, but it is a perk. Like, when the sales guy was
Right.
telling us, like, you can get on the app, we're like, we're not this cool. Like,
Yeah, no, that's kind
I'm
of
not
selling
that
point to us,
cool.
but thank you.
Like, I use it for my pool. Like, I will jump on and be like, oh, you know, I'm gonna head
Right.
home. Let me heat up the jacuzzi. Like, I'll 100% do that. But
Right.
like washer and dryer, like, I don't think I'm gonna think. But regardless, like, it is a perk, and they're side by side, so it's like way more space. So total blessing in disguise. But yeah, man. So it's been handing it to me. But yeah. Other than that, it's been good. My year's been good. How you doing, Big Z?
I'm good, man. Had a great Christmas. Got over the sickness, whatever it was. It was
Yes.
good. And Oliver had a really good Christmas.
Yep.
Santa came and gave him some. Have you ever seen heard of those Tony boxes?
No. What is that?
So
Tell me.
it's a box, and they have like different characters that you can like put on top of it. And what it's like, there's Disney ones, there's like children's books, but it's a screen-free toy where
Okay.
he can just put it on the box and it's like 40 minutes. It just talks to him. or like it sings to him. It's different songs.
Wow,
And like he dances now, and like, or it's just like a story. And like we got like five little, they're called Tonys, little five little characters.
dude.
Well, sorry, Santa brought that to him.
There we go.
And but dude, it's awesome. He loves it. Like he just puts Cookie Monster on there, and he just freaking loves it. Like he'll like Cookie Monster is like, oh, what's your name? And he says Oliver, and then he's like, I'm Cookie Monster, blah blah. And then he just like, he talks to Elmo. It's pretty cool. So yeah, Christmas is cool. New Year's is great, man. Went to
Yeah.
a friend's house. Oliver was at the in-laws for an overnight. So
Wow.
me and
Wow.
Haley got to, hang out with some friends, and that
Turn
was
back the
cool.
clock. Turn back the clock. I mean, you guys
Yeah,
met at a
a little
Halloween
bit,
party.
a little bit.
So partying's in the marriage, like
That's
that's a little
right,
bit.
dude.
Okay.
That's right. But next day I was really tired. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm old.
This is the perks of getting older.
This is
Yeah.
why I can't do this all the time anymore.
Yeah.
But hey, it was fun. It was definitely a blessing to do that. And then the next morning went over, picked him up, and had breakfast with the whole fam. And it was good, man. Watched football all day and yeah,
There you
hanging
go.
out, dude.
You made up for it, man. You made up
Yeah.
for it,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Christmas was good. It was funny. I knew what I wanted to get Grayson. He had been wanting his travel ball bat for like a while. And I was like, dude, you don't need that. But he did need an upgrade in his little league bat. So I went and got him a nice bat, but we didn't let him open it up for Christmas because Danielle is she's very focused on like our kids being like fair, right? So we always give them sort of the same thing every year. And so she's like, no, I can't let Grayson open this on Christmas Day because Jaden's not getting a bat. I was like, okay, like whatever you think, babe, let's get it. So we kept it small. We got that to him. And then we did some stockings, got him a couple Switch games, which they were with Moon for. I got a couple shirts, a couple sweaters. Definitely took care of Danielle. She had a couple presents. Her biggest present still sitting in the driveway. Got her that thing like a month and a half ago. So she's still loving that.
Bro, that's sick.
That's sick. Yeah. So it was a good, we had a couple friends over, just very low key for the New Year's Eve.
Nice.
We like to just like play some games. It's always like a kid friendly kind of situation, just because as kids get older, you want them to enjoy that too. So Danielle like plans games for them and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I think the only other thing we did was we made a concerted effort earlier this week to get to the movie theater. When was the last time you went to see a movie?
Early last year I saw it. Every time like a bigger Marvel comes out, I'll go see
Okay.
it. And then I saw Oppenheimer with my
Boom.
father-in-law and brother-in-law, two brother-in-law. So
Monday.
like what, August?
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't that long ago.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Like before this movie, I legitimately could not tell you the last time I went to a movie theater.
Yeah, I miss it. I wish I went more, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh no. Every time you go, like, and now the seats recline, and I do think it's an experience, right? Because like when you're at home and you're watching like Netflix or like Hulu, or even if it's like a movie that you really, really want to watch, I feel like you're kind of sitting there and you get distracted, right? Like your phone,
you're on your phone.
Or the kids get distracted. They want to start getting squirrely.
Right. It's
right.
Like this is like my time to shut the world out. Like put my phone, turn it off, put it in my pocket, whatever. Don't look at it for 2.5 hours.
Yes.
And everyone has that same mindset.
Right.
And it's distraction free and you can really absorb it. Right. And at home, exactly. Things happen. It's just what happens.
So yeah, it was nice to get in there and like get like a gang, like way too much popcorn. Like I think everybody had their own popcorn. We like had our own candies, like the whole 9 yards.
That's awesome, bro.
Sat down, watched Migration. It was cute. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it was like the greatest movie I've ever seen. But it was cute. Yeah, it's pretty cute. The kids loved it. They actually went back to see it later on with their grandparents because the grandparents gave us some time with just me, Danielle, and the baby. And so they went to see it again. That's how much they liked it. So
wow, bro.
Yeah, pretty cute. But believe it or not, we are a sports podcast. So
we are.
At some point, we are going to get there. Just have hope for us here. We're talking.
We're just talking.
We're just talking.
One more thing.
Tell me, please. I want to hear it.
My sister-in-law. She got me the sickest gift.
Here we go.
She got me a freaking GameCube, dude. Like it was on my list, and she picked my name. Like we picked names for each other for Christmas, and I was like, "There's no way," but it's a Christmas list. I'll just put it on there, because they're expensive now because they're like retro, right?
Right.
And I sold mine years ago when I was down like a teenager. I was like, yeah, I don't want this anymore. So I was like, I want a GameCube again.
Yeah,
dude. She got me a GameCube, man.
What?
It's so
what game?
Dope.
Wait. What game did she get you? Was it a game? Just a GameCube, or did it come with a game?
So she got me the GameCube and the controllers, just because it's pricey. So I was like, dude, this is totally fine. So I went to a retro GameStop and I got like the old school Madden, NBA Live, MVP baseball, and then like all the Mario games are like
Yeah.
$100 something. So
Did you
I
get
was
the
like,
Super Smash? Did you get Super Smash in there?
so I was like, next paycheck,
Okay.
I will go and get that.
See,
So
that's what
because like the sports games are like
yeah.
$10,
Yeah.
so like they're not super pricey.
No.
But I put it in, I put the disc in, and I'm just playing it. It's fun, dude. Like those old systems are so simple. You just pop the game in, the game starts, and there it is. Like there's no ads. Like
Nothing.
there's like the loading screens aren't like 10 minutes. You can just play.
You just play.
Yeah. And so it's like I was playing with the Kobe, Shaq, Gary Payton, Karl Malone, Lakers. Like I was like, oh, this is
This is
heaven,
amazing.
dude.
This is
what I
amazing.
used to do when I was a kid. It was great. So shout out to her. Made my
That
Christmas
is
great.
that is sick. Especially for
So-
like a dad. Like his dad's like Christmas is
Yes.
not about, which is fine. Like I'm not complaining.
Right, yeah, no.
I love watching people open up their gifts. Like I
Yes.
love watching my kids open up their gifts,
love
and
it.
like Danielle gets hyped. Like I love it. Like it's not about it. So when you do get a gift, it's like, wow, they really, really thought about me. This is really,
Yes.
really nice. I will say, dude, that's what I love about the Switch. Like everything you just said. Like the boys, like we thought about it, like, oh, should we get them PS5? Like what should we get them? Like a couple years ago, and we ended up on the Switch, and I'm so glad we did because. Yeah, like we have all the sports games besides Madden. Obviously, I wish it did have Madden. It's probably one complaint about the Switch.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice if they had Madden. But like we're playing the show, constantly playing. We're playing like FIFA, and like my kids, they have like Fortnite. Like the Switch, you can play all that stuff. But for us, we really just keep it more simple. Like we're playing like Mario and Super Smash. Like I don't want them online yet. Like I'm just not there with them yet. And so like we just play just us, and it just dude, I love it. It takes me back every time we're playing like Super Smash. Oh, yeah. Every once in a while, Jaden just gets like he's just like convinced. He's like, Dad, I'm gonna give you the smoke right now. I'm like, what game are you gonna try to give me the smoke? Like the show. He legitimately beat me. Like, oh, it's 50-50.
No
I'll
way.
beat him. I'll beat him or he'll beat me. But like, he's pretty good at it. But like Super Smash, dude, I will give him the like every once in a while, he'll think like, oh, I'm going to take it to you. I'm like, dude, turn off the items because we're going to play this old school.
Yeah,
turn
dude,
off the
no
items. No items.
Yep.
Get on this map with me, and I'm going to take you to school, bro.
What's your favorite map on? Because I have that one for my Switch.
Oh man, it's probably still I don't know what I think it's the Zelda map. Like the bigger
Hyrule Temple,
the big map,
the temple, dude.
Yeah, that's a good map,
one, man. That one and the Star Fox one, the ship, the Corneria, like it's like on Earth, and it just
you give me that. You give me that one, and you give me Zelda, or like maybe even Ike or a Cloud, and it's over, dude. It's over. I mean, just you don't want to catch his hands, and he just forgets.
Right.
He just forgets,
dude. He forgets that. You're cooler than him. Yeah,
that's right, dude. That's right, dude. I'm be talking mess while I'm totally gonna be that dad too, like dropping him off on dates, like have fun, like just like, oh man, it's gonna be
dude, it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be great. Yeah, he's already
coming soon,
dude. He's already gonna be 10. He's already gonna be 10. It's crazy. So I feel like just yesterday he was like this little thing, especially looking at Arwen, right? Like Arwen she's so small, and she's just like just the cutest little thing, and I just can't stop posting her, and she's amazing. And I look at her and I'm like, no, don't get big like these other kids that I have. Like stay small forever.
Stay small and cute.
Stay small and cute.
It's super innocent, precious. That's it.
Stay small and cute, dude. Anyway, so okay, get into it. A bunch of stuff happened around the NFL this last week. I mean, we're getting into the nitty gritty. So if you don't know, because you live under a rock, apparently, this is the last week of the NFL. Is like this next week.
I can't.
That is it. Dude. It's gone. This is the problem with me for the NFL. Like we talk about it. This is why I like baseball.
So fast, dude. It's so sad.
Baseball starts, and then like in July, I'm like, oh, it's still going on. Sick.
And
like
every day. And then it ends. You're sad, but it's like, wait a minute. It's Christmas. Oh, it's New Year. Oh, it's next month. Spring training. Pitchers and catchers report. But with football, it just got here, and then it's gone for 7 months.
Which shows the genius of football, because the build up to football is just insane.
I know, like
the draft.
Like we talked about it. Like the schedule release is like a big thing now. Like
huge.
Everyone's schedule. Like who cares? But it's a thing. It's like a nationally televised thing on ESPN. Dude. But I know I'm bummed. It's the last week. I can't believe it, dude. It's been a fun season. It
does make sense though, because if you look at like the schedule, right, like a Seahawks team that had like sort of a stranglehold behind the Niners, right? It was like the Niners and then the Seahawks.
Right.
And it was like the Rams don't have a shot to make the playoffs. Well, they just clinched last week. Why? What had a big thing to do with that was that the Seahawks had to go like Niners, Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys. Like it was like a
Right.
4-game stretch of just like Death Valley. And it's like,
Right, dude.
whoa, like that is huge. And the Rams were able to come back, clinch that playoff spot. It's like, I mean, that schedule
Props
really
to them,
does. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Props to Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford and all those guys. Because like no one besides a Rams fan, and for sure not me, like no one gave them a shot to make
No,
the playoffs.
I was telling them to trade everybody.
No one gave them a shot to win 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
But like that just shows you how good Matthew Stafford is. Like
really good.
He is a great quarterback.
Yeah.
If he has time and he's healthy, like he's going to sling the ball and you guys are going to score at least 25 points a game as long as the defense. And props to them. They traded away a lot of higher draft picks for Matthew Stafford to the Lions, but they were able to get some guys in late in the draft. So 2 of your defensive linemen are super, super good. And then along with Aaron Donald, I think his first name's Kobe, and then I forget the other one. Forgive me, but that defense.
Jackson. I think it's Jackson. Yeah.
That defense has really turned it around, especially on the defensive line. And that's where, if you get pressure on the quarterback, you're going to be in most games, as long as your quarterback is competent on the other side of the ball. So props to that team, props to the executives, McVay, the players. It's really impressive, man, that you guys were able to make the playoffs. That's huge.
Yeah. The rookies are doing huge things. Like you said,
Puka,
like they're doing like Puka just going off. Like at some point, like the conversation needs to be like Matt Stafford. I mean, he's for sure, to me, he's creating a Hall of Fame legacy.
Well, this kind of, I think crazy. This season cements it. Like, it lasts, before this season, it's like, well, in my opinion, I thought so. Like he was on some terrible teams in Detroit, and like he's the only reason why people talked about the Lions,
right? Is
because of his greatness. Like he constantly threw for over 4,000 yards while he was on the Lions. But then he wins a Super Bowl. And it's Sean McVay, but that was because of Stafford.
Right.
And then he takes this team that no one gave him any chance to make the playoffs. And they could get the 6th seed and they could do damage in the playoffs, in my opinion. So I think that this cements his Hall of Fame case, and it's going to be impressive. It is impressive what he's been doing. And I think that he was going to get in now. He has to. He has to be. Yeah,
he has to be, man. Like this game has been so much fun to watch. I mean, Kyron Williams. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, Ernest Jones just balling. I mean, they just have
Eggers who
right. They just kept rolling.
That was the stud. That was the future running back after Todd Gurley. And Kyron Williams comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. I love it. They clinched. I mean, the Niners, I think it doesn't really matter. Honestly, like as a Rams fan, I got to say, like, I don't think it matters who we go to play. I know that sounds crazy. Like I'd rather go to San Francisco and get everybody right and just make sure that we're healthy going to the playoffs. Because let's be honest, two of the hardest places, if not the hardest places, I'd argue they are the hardest places to play. Unquestionably, Dallas and Detroit. I mean, those two teams they're different teams at home. Like the Niners are hard everywhere. You get what I'm saying? Like the Ravens are hard anywhere you play them. Right. But the Lions and the Cowboys are like different teams at home.
Yes.
Like the Cowboys play the Bills at home. It does not go the same way that it did in Buffalo.
Right.
Like I guarantee it. Like they are different teams home away. I mean, you look at a guy like Jared Goff's splits. I mean, it's crazy how different he is away from home versus at home. Yeah, in a dome, really. But
I don't know. Out of those two teams, in my opinion, I'd rather play the Cowboys.
Okay.
Because you're going to play both on the road regardless.
Right.
I'd rather play the Cowboys just because the Cowboys don't have the running game that the Lions do.
Yeah, like dude, that two-headed monster.
They have Gibbs and they have Laporta. And they have a coach who's just a dog and he's gonna slap Jared Goff awake. Like, dude, like wake up, like you got this, get back in the game. If you rattle Dak and the Cowboys, like that team's going down. Like they will lose that game. So I would choose the Cowboys if I had to choose. It's not gonna be easy, but if I had to pick one of the two, it's gonna be the Cowboys. Because once they get bullied around, dude, like you have a chance. You have a shot.
I mean, Tyler Higbee
line that you guys have.
Yeah. Tyler Higbee coming on strong. I mean, like I said, I mean, they're two good teams. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But I mean, hey, we're gonna have to be road warriors. Any way you slice it, we're gonna have to be road warriors, and I feel good about it. I mean, the last time the Ravens got really challenged at home was against the Rams, right? They went to Baltimore, gave him a heck of a game.
They did.
Lamar Jackson's not playing next week, so I'm sure that'll stand true. The Ravens are a different team with or without Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he is right now the MVP frontrunner. He played that game. The Rams still lost. I think it was like by 6 points. So I'm happy about it. We'll see how it goes. Speaking of the Lions and the Cowboys, Big Z, I've been dying to ask you this. The end of this game, we were texting about it in that group chat
for hours.
For hours, dude. Yes, hours. Mitchie was pissed. And he's not even a Lions fan. Lions fans, Detroit fans know this right now. Mitchie has your back. He was ready to fire. And I think at one point he mentioned like a firing squad. Like he was so mad.
Take away his hand. Like it was getting violent there.
It was a rant. It got dark. But it turned out it just showed, he was hungry.
Yeah,
he was hungry.
He was hungry. He had some Reese's late at night. He's on the East Coast. We convinced him to eat something, so he was good.
Yep.
But yeah, man, that was the craziest sequence I've ever seen in a pro football game, and it's just such a bad look for the NFL.
Horrible look.
That had to go down the way it did. Brad Allen. The fact that I know the ref's name, Brad Allen. Like it's a
problem.
That tells you everything. Like we shouldn't know the refs' names. We shouldn't be talking about them and the crew. I fully believe that number 68, Decker, he's the one who reported eligible, and the ref did not listen to him, and he thought that number 70 was coming in late and reporting eligible. Like the refs messed that up, and there were so many people that said, like the NFL or ESPN's ref analyst came in afterwards, like, well, ultimately it's on the player to, confirm that the ref heard him. Like, dude, no, it's not. Like, once you say you're eligible, like that's on the ref. Like the ref needs to hear that. He needs to be listening. He can't just be looking over your shoulder. Like he wasn't there. Like his headspace, he was just gone. It seemed like when you look at that replay multiple times. Ryan Clark did a great breakdown of the play. The Lions, they lined up perfectly. They ran the play. They executed it to perfection. And there's no way that number 70 reported eligible. There's no way because there was no one covering him. He was on the right side of the formation, or right-hand side of the formation. And so it's just a terrible look for the NFL. And then the NFL says, oh, we're going to downgrade you guys. And then they put them on the Steelers game this coming week. Like,
oh boy, huge
playoff implication game. We're going to downgrade you. Put them on like the Panthers game. Like don't put them on the Steelers, like a game that has playoff ramifications, right? Like that's crazy to me. A nationally televised game, another one. It's the only game in that time slot, and you're going to put that ref crew on there again. It's insane. It's bonkers. Yeah, dude. It's. Gives me the heebie-jeebies when I think about it. Single time.
Panthers out here catching strays, man. Poor Panthers. They've just had like the worst go of it.
They have a scumbag owner too, like throwing drinks on Jaguar fans.
What is that?
In Jacksonville?
You're a billionaire. This is equivalent to like throwing a drink at a kid. Like when a kid like nails you or something, like kid pisses you out like a little 5-year-old, then you like throw it back. It's like, dude, you're a billionaire. Stop it. It's your stadium. Oh my God, just stop it. Stop it right now. Dude, regardless of whether 70 was eligible or not, this is the kicker, is it didn't matter. Both players on the end of the line can be eligible. So for him, not only say this guy didn't report, this guy did report, they both could have been eligible, bro. Right. So you gotta, as a referee, you gotta listen to him. You're not in a rush. There's no hurry. And of course, the NFL came out and said, the reason this went wrong was because the Lions were trying to use deception. Duh. It's a 2-point conversion. Like, what do you want them to announce to everybody what they're going to do? And by the way, the defense does get to know. The referee tells them who's eligible, who's not eligible. They get to know before the play even starts. So the idea that this was not going to be a fair play, it's absolutely ridiculous, absolutely dumb. It was a terrible look in such a big game, and for the Lions, it almost kills you because now as the Lions move forward, they are looking at they need the Cowboys and the Eagles to lose, not just one or the other. They need the Cowboys and the Eagles to lose to earn that number 2 seed.
Right.
right? Which, I mean, obviously it's really nice, especially, as long as you're not playing against Frisco, you could have that home field advantage. We just got done talking about it. Home field for the Lions is no small thing. Home field for Dallas is no small thing. This is a massive game with massive implications. And I'll be honest with you, it didn't bother me as much. I will not say it bothered me as much as that play. Like, let me just be clear. That call was egregious.
Right.
It was horrible. I'm glad these guys are not going to be on a playoff officiating crew.
Right.
Having said that, Dan Campbell, man, like at some point, like I respect that. Like that guy has done such an incredible job. He's doing all the right things, pushing all the right buttons. When it doesn't work out and then you get the penalty, just play for overtime. Your team is playing great. Give them a shot. Live to fight another day. When he just kept going for it.
I was on that side of the fence today, and I was driving out to Riverside for an event, and listening to talk radio, and I heard like a good perspective. It wasn't facts. It was just like maybe this is what Dan Campbell was thinking. He said they brought up the fact that if he got in that position, that regardless, he was just going to go for two. Like his team, he didn't want them to play a whole other quarter of overtime because of health reasons. Like they're going to be in the playoffs, and like regardless, like win or lose, like he was just going to go for two. And it seemed pretty evident after they got that penalty, and then the next play they go for two on the 7-yard line, and then the Cowboys jump off sides,
right?
And then it goes back to the 3. It's like, okay, just in our minds, like just kick the extra point. Like this is your third chance. But he's like, no, I'm still going to go for 2. Like, it just seemed pretty evident that I made up my mind. I don't want to put these guys through a whole other 10 minutes. Like, I don't want to risk this team getting hurt. I just want to win, or I'm going to lose, and I'm going to be fine with it. So, yeah, I'm like,
I hear
I agree with that or not?
Right.
Whether I agree with that or not, like, but in his mind, maybe it makes sense.
I mean, he's the coach. Like I like he's gotten him here. He's got a playoff bound team that hasn't won that division in years. Like it's all the respect. I'm not trying to take anything from him.
Yeah.
I just thought at the end of that, it's like, bro, take the field goal.
Yeah.
Take the tie. Because at the end of the day, when everybody's getting online, saying like, oh, the Cowboys should be stripped of the win. This should be, the fairest thing I could think of is maybe a draw, maybe. But at the end of the day, I mean, CD Lamb was making everybody else on that field look like child's play. And so you got 46 seconds. Who knows what CD's going to do? They got a kicker that apparently can bomb the ball like 70 yards. Like, who knows how this thing actually ends? So the idea that you could just take it away from the Cowboys, give it to the Lions, you can't do that. Yeah. So I just, at the end of the day, it was a horrible thing that the NFL did. I thought this is a learning lesson for Dan Campbell moving forward because, hey, if you are worried about the playoffs, there is a big difference between playing at home and playing away in the playoffs.
Right.
There's a massive difference. It might have been worth it to play those extra 10 minutes, but hey, we'll see. Maybe he's right, and maybe it was worth it. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're still going to get a home game as of right now. They're still going to be, I think they're locked into that third spot. So they're going to get a home spot. They're going to get a home field advantage. So, hopefully until round 2, then
and we'll see from there. But
unless they play the Rams, then I hope they lose. So
right. They could play the Rams, bro. That'd be a great story right there.
I'll tell you who should be equally as nervous after a debacle. Like the NFL, that was such a debacle, right? But man, I mean, before the playoffs, the Eagles are going the wrong way. Like the Eagles just lost to the Cardinals. And when I looked at that score, Big Z, I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't watch a second of that game. I'm going to be honest with you. But when I saw the score, I thought for sure this had to be in Arizona. This had to be like James Conner got going. The fans got behind him. Like it was fans thirsty. Like I painted this whole scenario in my head. Like the fans got this team going. They're like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. And then I looked and they were in Philly.
Right. And
James Conner's running all over him. Kyler Murray's having his way. I could not believe it. I cannot believe they lost this game.
32. The Cardinals got 32 first downs. They did not punt a single time during the game.
That's wild.
That's and like you said, in Philadelphia, you would never think in just how different a season is, right? So last year, the Eagles are a top 2 defense in the league, 70 sacks rate, and then you lose both your coordinators, and then like it just flips on you. And at the beginning of the season, the Eagles, they were really good. They were winning close games. and everyone's like, oh, they're winning close games because they're great. You know, they know how to close it out. But on a lot of other people's heads, it was like they're just getting really lucky. Like their
Yeah.
win differential, the point differential was like plus 13 or something, and they were, you know, they had won a lot of games. It's kind of like last
Right.
year's Vikings. And then the 49ers come to town and they smack them, and then all of a sudden they just start losing. They've lost like 4 of their last 5 games. And they almost lost to the Giants on Christmas. Like we forget.
Right.
The Giants almost beat them. They would have lost almost 5 in a row if the Giants, you know, if the Giants had won that game. And out of any team in the NFC, as a fan, like if I'm an Eagle fan, I'd be worried about them the most.
Yeah.
They don't look like they're cohesive on defense at all. They can't stop anyone. And on offense, like they just have a lot of drama going on. They have AJ Brown yelling at Nick Sirianni, had to come out today, say, no, I'm not mad at him. Jalen Hurts just doesn't look like himself. He doesn't look like the QB, like the MVP, the franchise quarterback who got all that money. He just doesn't look like him. Devonta Smith is hurt. DeAndre Swift is, it's just not the Eagles that we saw last year. And so, yeah, if anyone seems like to be frauds in that playoff field for the NFC, it seems like it's the Eagles. As of now, you know, you could always turn it around. You could always have a great last game of the season against the Giants. Again, you could, you know, make things right. But as of now, they just don't look like they're in the right mindset. It looks like they're looking inward right now, and they're blaming each other, the pointing the fingers. And when you have to elevate Matt Patricia to call your defensive plays, like, you know, you got a problem.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
I'd be worried if I'm an Eagle fan for sure.
And let's not forget, I mean, Gannon, this is Gannon coming into your house.
It's great.
Your old defensive coordinator.
Right.
Coming in and getting the W. Like that's got to sting. That's got to hurt, man. Like
and for Kyler Murray, like, you know, all the talk, you know, that people have, you know, said about him over this last year and that he's not the guy anymore. No, I think that he's proved that this is still his team. You know, yeah, he should be the franchise quarterback going forward. I think he bought himself at least one more year of consideration, and next year is going to be his tryout year again. But since he's come back, man, like he's looked good. He's looked like the Kyler Murray of old, in my opinion. And so I think that this is his team still.
I mean, we don't like to get in the weeds. You know, that's not our podcast. If you want to look up a gang of stats, like have fun somewhere else. But I mean, it's worth mentioning 232 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 116 QBR. I mean, that's about great. That's about what you want.
That's what you want from your franchise guy. Like,
it doesn't get, and he's creating. That's the thing. You know, this isn't a game manager that, you know, is just, oh, you know, I got X amount of touchdowns. You know, we've taken shots before, like a Jared Goff type when he gets 5 touchdowns. And like, again, Jared Goff has had some great games. I'm not trying to take anything away from the dude, but when things go well for Jared Goff, it's because things are going well for the Lions.
Right.
Kyler Murray is the kind of guy that will make things go well for your team, right? He's mobile. He can create. He can extend plays. He can break the system down, get outside of it. So, I mean, he just had an incredible game. James Conner looked absolutely fantastic. 26 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, it was a huge game for them. Shout outs to them. Cowboys, you know, with that win, they're locked into that second seed. So if they win out, you know, they got home field unless they play the Niners, which, you know, for the Niners is great news because the Niners don't have to go anywhere, regardless of who they play. I mean, your team's sitting pretty with that Eagles loss. I think you guys were the biggest beneficiary. I don't know if you saw your boys celebrating. That was pretty funny to watch when they were watching.
It was great. They were watching on the phone. It was sick. Actually, and we actually benefited from the refs blowing that Lions Cowboys game, because if the Lions had somehow won that game, they would have had
could have clinched
the same record right now. And so if the Niners somehow would have lost against the Rams and then the Lions won, then the Lions would have had the 1 seed.
Carson Wentz, man, you never know. Carson Wentz, going to San Fran,
bro. So, yeah, man, the number 1 seed is big, especially right now since CMC had a little calf injury. So we got to get him healthy. Eric Armstead on the defensive side, he's really what makes that defensive line go. I obviously Bosa's a beast, but like the interior, Armstead's the guy.
Right.
And so just to have that extra week of rest, is huge for us, and especially that we don't have to go on the road and go to the East Coast potentially. Obviously it's big, you know, you don't really talk about too much, but it's pretty big. So I'm pumped, man. You could tell the team was excited. Brock Purdy gets to rest as well. He deserves it.
Yep.
The all-time season leading all-time passer in a single season for the 49ers. Beats
All
out Joe
time.
Montana,
No way.
Steve Young, Jeff Garcia. And those guys had some great weapons.
I mean, Montana, some people consider Montana the greatest quarterback of all time. Yeah. So that, I mean, I don't personally. I think Tom is number one for me. Right. But I mean, that's pretty crazy that he had a better season.
Yep. And he did it in 16 games. It wasn't the 17th game. He did it in 16 games, just like Joe Montana.
Right. Because that would be the response. Right, that would be the response, exactly. Right? Is that, they have one more game.
So regardless of what people want to say about Purdy, that's a huge accomplishment. And the fact that he has the most Pro Bowl votes as well, like that, he's gaining traction with other fan bases other than the 49ers, right? Like that's huge. Like you have to have a following of some sort beyond your team to get those Pro Bowl votes, and people actually have to believe in you. Right. And that's kind of a testament to how good of a season he's actually having. So props to him. That's awesome in your second season. And there was people this year, before the season started, people were writing articles about how Sam Darnold would end up being the quarterback by week 6 and Purdy would be benched. And so just to shut those haters up, and for him, it probably feels good, even though he would never admit it because he's such a nice guy. But I'm really happy for him, and I'm happy for the Niners.
Is he a nice guy? He wears his hat backwards on Wednesdays. Colin Cowherd doesn't
super
like
nice
that.
Guy, bro.
Colin Cowherd doesn't like that he wears his hat backwards on Wednesdays.
He does that too much. But,
dude, I love it. And speaking of records, I mean, my boy Puka Nacua, he's got a shot this week. If him and Carson Wentz, here's the thing. I have mixed emotions about it. I want him to get this record. Yeah. But I literally hope that Sean McVay goes like, okay, we're going to come out. We're going to throw the ball to Puka Nacua 6 times.
You know he will.
Let's get him 30 yards and 5 catches. So he has the record for most receptions, most yards. Like, let's do it. And then
just sit him.
Just sit him. And again, he didn't do it in 16 games. That would have been really nice. Because I do think, when everything, like you said, and done, you always got to look at it. Like Megatron's record, back in the day, that was 16 games that he did that with.
It's still cool though. Like
it's still cool.
And it's against the Niners, like in it
would be cool.
That's cool.
It'd be cool.
And McVay is that type of guy that he's gonna pass it to him. Like Cooper Kupp sitting, like pass it to freaking Nacua,
I was gonna say, well, I mean, especially for Matt Stafford, you could now say he's got the 2 greatest, stat-wise at least, the 2 greatest wide receiver years of all time. Right. And then the rookie record too. I mean, that's Hall of Fame caliber. I mean, without question. I mean, but obviously the Niners and the Rams aren't playing for a ton, but there are a few teams that are playing for a whole heck of a lot. And one of those guys, I don't know if you check this out, Big Z, super interesting. There's a lot of conversation, not just about Kyler Murray, but there's other quarterbacks that are on the hot seat with some of these kids coming out, like Caleb Williams. Yeah. We just watched the quarterback from Washington, Penix. I've been a big fan of Bo Nix, 3 for 5 touchdowns. I mean, granted, it was against Liberty, whatever. Kind of a guy that's going under the radar a little bit, just like Justin Herbert, right? There was a lot of people who didn't like Justin Herbert coming out of college. Right. Kind of the same build for me.
Lots of
throwing crazy touchdowns. There's a lot of quarterbacks coming out, a lot of great receivers coming out. Really good receivers, really, really good receiving class. So there's some decisions to be made for some of these NFL teams. For me, I don't know that this week, for me, there's a bigger game than Bears Packers. And it doesn't seem like it because it would the obvious choice here would be, I think the Colts play the Texans. We'll get into that in a second. But there's a couple big games where the winner gets to the playoffs, and it might seem like that is like, Miami and the Bills, like that might seem like this is huge. Like this is really big. Right. The Bills and Miami, by the way, second place. That's the second biggest game that I've seen.
Right.
This game though, this is Jordan Love, right? This is the next guy. Everybody's been giving the stats about Aaron Rodgers and how his stats are so comparable to Aaron Rodgers' first year.
Yep.
This is his moment in Green Bay to make the play. Winning, you're in. And he gets the Packers to the playoffs. He's cementing himself as the next guy. He's doing the thing. They have their next quarterback in the future. And on the other side of the ball, you have Justin Fields, who everybody at the beginning of the season, he's not the guy. This offense is terrible. This defense is terrible. Move on, start over, blow it up, whatever we need to do. To him getting, we want Justin Fields' chance in Chicago.
It's huge.
I think this is equal. Yes, the Bears are not playing for anything. And that to me is a dangerous team because the Bears are coming into this saying, this team, throughout years, Aaron Rodgers told us that he is our daddy. It does not get more disrespectful than that. And now Justin Fields, who's playing for everything. This is everything for Justin Fields. I think he'll still be a quarterback regardless of where he is. Right. I think probably maybe a backup, maybe, I don't know. But I think there's other teams that could definitely use a Justin Fields and that skill set.
Oh, as a starter, yeah.
Having said that, this is a huge game if he wants to stay a Bear, because when you're looking at some of these, like a Harrison Jr. type that's coming out of college, and you're saying we could pair this guy with a DJ Moore, or are we going to get to Caleb Williams? To me, I think this is a must win for both of these teams. Like if you're a player, right? DJ Moore's already come out and said, Justin Fields is my boy. He's my dog. I ride with him. I die with him. This is my dog. Right. So if you really believe that as a Bear, like as a Bears fan and a Bears player, that Justin Fields is your dog, this is my boy, you got to win this game.
Right.
And if you're a Packer and you're saying Jordan Love, we have all the confidence in him. This is our guy. We believe in this guy. This is a must win for him.
Hey,
like this game, all eyes, dude. All eyes on this game, Big Z.
It's huge, man. I mean, but think about it from the Bears' perspective. Justin Fields as a starter for the Bears is 10-27. Yet this year, if you win this game, they finish 8-9. That's not a terrible year. And with all the turmoil that franchise has, like that is not a well-ran franchise. Like,
no.
I'm sorry, like you have the Niners, you have the Rams, you have the Steelers. The Bears are at the bottom of that list when you talk about well-ran franchises.
They drafted Mitch Trubisky.
Exactly. So you cannot, like, some of the blame goes on Justin Fields, right? This is third season. Some of it does, but you have to take into account all the other stuff around it, the terrible offensive line, the terrible, I'm not going to draft you any weapons. I'm not going to have you any defense for you. Finally, you make a trade last year. You trade away that pick. You get DJ Moore. Look at DJ Moore. It's his best season ever of his career. And that's a stud, a number one wide receiver. And he made him even better. Fields made Moore a lot better.
Yeah.
I think that you need to take that first pick, regardless of Sunday nights or Sunday's outcome. Take that first pick. You get Marvin Harrison Jr., like you said. Pair him with
I agree.
that. And then they have the third pick after that, or the fourth. You go get an offensive lineman. You get a stud on defense. Build around that. Build around Fields. Don't reset. Don't go take your franchise back another 5 years. Build around Fields, because we've seen what Fields can do. You know, he has the body type of Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying he's as good as Lamar Jackson, but he has that body type where he can run away. He can create stuff out of nothing. And he's done it multiple times this season, and he's done it in his career. And I think that you have to put that faith in him. Yes, he's going to be expensive, but that's what you know, when your quarterback is a franchise guy, you have to pay him. You have to keep him. And as a Bears fans, props to them for saying, this is our guy. We want this guy. Justin is our quarterback. Like, that's huge. That's a huge sign to the front office saying, you guys need to keep this guy, build around him. We have faith in him.
Right.
Not all on him.
Well, and they lived in mediocrity for years with Jay Cutler. This isn't like a historic, like, this is the best franchise ever. Like, dude, they had some good years way back in the day. Yeah. But, like, this is not, like, dude, the biggest thing this team can do is just build some consistency. Look at the Chargers. They keep hiring coaches and firing coaches and hiring coaches and firing coaches. Justin Herbert has gone through like what, three or four coaches, three or four offensive coordinators. Like, at some point, there's got to be consistency. Like, the fact that they're not even considering Kellen Moore, who just worked with Justin Herbert for a whole year, is like mind-boggling to me, because just give this kid some consistency. In the same field with Justin Fields, he's gone through coach after coach after coach. This guy wants to use his talents, and then he changes, right? Like we saw in his first year, not using his skill set at all. Halfway through the year, the coach is like, fine, you do you. All of a sudden, what? They start winning, right? Next coach comes into town. They don't want to use a skill set. Halfway through the year, hey, dude, you do you. They start winning. This coach, we just saw the same thing. He was injured. He gets back right before the injury. They start like simplifying things for him, his skill set. Hey, one or two reads. Let's get this going. Then create, right? You look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has 1-2 reads and then he's out. He's running around creating. That is the skill set. I'm not trying to take a shot at Lamar Jackson. I'm not sitting here saying that Lamar Jackson doesn't make the right reads or doesn't go through his progressions. I think he does. What I am saying is that you got like 1, 2, maybe three reads, and then you're on to create, and then create, and you get the big shot down the field. That's Justin Fields. Give him 2 reads. Look at this guy. It's not there. Go create. Right? Forget the play. Go create.
And imagine Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ
Ah,
Moore, Cole Kmet, like, and then your running back tandem behind you, and then a great offensive line. Like,
yep.
dude is a stud. And who would have imagined this Bears team, if they win, that they be 8-9?
Yeah.
Like, no one.
And he was
The
injured.
amount the
Yeah.
amount of crap that everyone's talked about them, that they'd finish 8-9. And then on the Packers side, this is huge for Jordan Love. Like,
Huge game.
and props to him. He's turned his season around in the second half of the season. He's really elevated that team and made them really good. We've now all of a sudden we know their receivers' names because he's made them prominent receivers in the league. So if he wins and brings them in the playoffs, that's wow. That's big, man. Like a year after
Huge.
Aaron Rodgers leaves, that's huge. And for him,
Huge.
like that's saying to the Packers, we're gonna pick up that 5th-year option. You're the guy. We're gonna roll behind you, and we're gonna do the thing with you. So, yeah, man, that's a great assessment, man. I think that's one of the biggest games, and it's definitely not something that people are focusing on. But
No.
for those two quarterbacks, those young quarterbacks, like it's for their futures.
This is
It's gonna
legacy.
be
Like this
telling,
is a
dude. Yeah,
legacy game. Like one of these
yeah,
guys is going to look back at this game at the end, like years down the road, and be like, that game made my career.
right.
Like that game set me up and made or broke like how I was viewed in this city. And you have so many teams in the hunt. In the AFC, you got the Bills still trying to lock it in. Believe it or not, the Bills, because of how poorly they started, they're trying to lock it in. Miami's trying to hold on to their division desperately. That's huge. You got Buffalo going to Miami. Jacksonville's in the hunt. Indianapolis in the hunt. Houston's in the hunt. Pittsburgh is in the hunt. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than this weekend, Big Z. What matchups are you looking at?
I think the Dolphins Bills is huge.
Huge.
How far the Bills have come after just the debacle they had of like a first half of the
Yeah.
year. I think they were below or 500 or something.
Yeah.
And this just shows you how good Josh Allen is.
Really good.
Like without Josh Allen, that team is nothing. That team is a 4 or 5 win team. And he's kind of tempered everything down a little bit. He's not going as crazy. He's playing more in this system. He's not trying to like be Lamar Jackson. He's doing what he needs to do, but he's getting other guys involved. And I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Stephon Diggs has had if you're a fantasy owner of Stephon Diggs, like he has had a terrible 6-game stretch. But yet the Bills are still winning. Like he's getting Shakir involved. He's getting Kincaid, Knox involved. He's getting Gabe Davis involved now. So, Josh Allen and the Bills, I think they win that game. I think that they knock the Dolphins out into the 5 seed. The Bills win that division. They become the 2 seed, just because of the way that they've been playing. The Dolphins haven't been playing really that great lately.
Right.
And obviously the Texans and Colts. Who would have thought those two teams would have been 9-7 at this point, like in the playoffs? I mean, obviously we know that CJ Stroud, like he's going to be the Texans starting quarterback for years to come. But just what an achievement to take a 2-win team. They draft you and then you get 10 wins the next year, your first year, your rookie season, you take them to the playoffs. I mean, that's huge, man. So I'm rooting for the Texans. If Anthony Richardson was still playing this year on the Colts, it'd be harder for me to pick between that game because we talked a lot of crap on Richardson. Like, this guy's not good. That guy was a dynamic player.
He's super dynamic. Yeah.
And so if he was playing, it'd be harder for me, but I love Minshew. Like, he's a great backup, really good backup. But the story here is the Texans and CJ Stroud and
100%
making Nico Collins a household name.
Yep.
And Tank Dell. So yeah, man, I'm Texans and Colts is huge. And then obviously the Steelers, they need some help from other teams after they win. If they win, they play in the Ravens. But the Steelers, after all the crap we've heard about, Matt Canada and Mike Tomlin not being the guy, if they win, they're 10-7. Like, that's a good season. That's a really
great
good season.
Yeah.
And so like always, like they're always there, And so, and this is kind of a legacy game. If you're talking about legacy for Mason Rudolph, like he's going to get the start. He's been balling since he's, been able to play, since he's been able to start.
Yeah.
If they win and if they win a playoff game or two, whatever it is,
Right.
You have a decision you have to make next year. Is it going to be Mason? Is it going to be Kenny Pickett? Are they going to go draft someone?
Right.
But Mason Rudolph, dude, like he looks like he's the guy there, in my opinion.
You are, if you're the Steelers, the Ravens are playing for absolutely nothing. Go out there and dominate. They're all over them. They're resting people.
Right.
You got to go out there. But here's the problem is you're going to be playing against, there's a lot of Ravens players. Their dream is coming true this weekend. They are going to start their first NFL game.
Right.
You've got to be ready for that, but you got to dominate.
Right.
You are the starters. You are squad A. You are taking on their squad B. Get in there, dominate the game, do your thing. I agree. I think the story with the Texans and the Colts is 100%. The Texans, I'm rooting for them all day. I want to watch CJ Stroud throw piss missiles around the yard. Look,
so good.
All respect to Garter. Like, that's great.
Right.
He's the Ryan Fitzpatrick of our generation. Everybody said it. Like, yes, yeah, I agree with it. But Houston, I want to see it real bad.
We want Stroud in the playoffs. Come on.
Yeah, come on, son. Come on, son. And of course, yes, I do. I agree with you. I think the Bills going to Miami. I think they win. You look at Miami's record. I mean, they have no big wins this year outside of Dallas. And we know how poorly Dallas plays away from home. So even that win, I believe they're sub 500 away from home. So, I just don't, when I look at the Miami team, I'm not super impressed with them as much as you might think I'd be. And then, of course, on the flip side, Tampa Bay win, and they are the 4th seed.
Right.
Let me just say, just pause real quick. Can we just shout out Baker Mayfield? Right. Like, this dude was the Browns quarterback. People hating on him. How could he lose with OBJ and Hunt? How could he be losing with this like star-studded team? And they leave, and all of a sudden, they stay competitive. I think they made the playoffs once, or they got close to making the playoffs once. Whatever it was, they were constantly in the hunt. Baker's trying to do his thing.
Yeah,
and we know how dysfunctional the Browns are. They finally look good.
That's the bottom of the barrel.
Right. They finally look good because Joe Flacco decided to come in like there's no tomorrow and just throw the ball around the yard, and nobody saw that coming. Right. This is not. Don't pretend like if you're a Browns fan, don't think like, oh yeah, we found it. We found our long-term success because Joe Flacco is probably going back to dropping off kids for daycare next year. And you already committed to Deshaun Watson. So you better hope that he really is working on his game. But, shout out to Baker coming down to Tampa.
Huge.
And you know what? Everybody talks mess about this division. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a good division, but what I am going to say, winning any division is plottable, right? Like, it's great. Like, I applaud you. Right. Keep going, keep balling. I love it. I love watching
the Bucks. It's the Bucks. Who do you have? Like, you have an aging Mike Evans, you have an aging Godwin,
yeah.
And you have Rashad White behind you as a running back, but he's
having a great year, by the way. Rashad White's really come out this year.
Yeah, but like when you talk about weapons around you, like Baker has led that team, man. Like, shout out to him. He's gotten a lot of hate from people that he was a bust of a number 1 pick. Remember, it's all about where you go. Like, there's been so many number 1 picks that have been busts because they went to a terrible situation. You look at Tom Brady, he was a 6th round pick, but he went to Bill Belichick and the Patriots, and that guy's the GOAT. Like, it really just depends on where you go. Patrick Mahomes went to Andy Reid's system. Like, and so for Baker to do what he's doing this year, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, almost 4,000 yards in this Bucks offense, and to potentially have 9 wins in a divisional win for that team, that squad, that's huge for him. Obviously he'll get re-signed with that team. He's on a 1-year deal, man. Like, that's crazy to fall from number 1 overall pick to barely beating out. I don't know who the backup is, but barely getting the starting job out of the camp, and to where he is now. Yeah,
it was a discussion. It was a discussion.
It was. And so it's just a great story. So I'm really happy for him. He kind of stayed out the spotlight, obviously, like it wasn't all the commercials anymore.
Right.
And he played football. So
I think based off of this year, what's really nice for Tampa Bay, take one more year. You don't necessarily need a quarterback this year. If you do, I wouldn't look earlier than like the third round. Go get like somebody who's talented that maybe can just sit and learn and develop. Go get a later round quarterback.
Right.
And go from there. But I think the nice thing about Baker for them is they can go get other weapons that they need. Obviously, Philadelphia already secured a spot. They don't know where they're playing it. They don't know. Right. They're still playing. Hopefully, they're hoping for that 2nd seed. Cowboys are currently in there. The Rams are in 6th. Green Bay, where you talked about Seattle, right? New Orleans, Minnesota, Atlanta, all still in the hunt. Kind of crazy. Like the last week of the season, all these teams are still in the league. And let's not look over this. The Cardinals just went to Philadelphia and won.
Right.
If I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm like, oh, why is this team figuring out things at the wrong moment for me? Right? Because the Seahawks were a lock, right? Halfway through this year, especially at the start of this year, everybody thought the Seahawks, people had the Seahawks winning the division.
Yeah, which is crazy. But yeah,
they were supposed to win.
Yeah.
They were supposed to compete with the Niners because everybody's hating on Brock.
Yep.
They're saying Geno already showed us he's that guy, and me and you sat here and we're like, we know who Geno is. I like Geno. I love the story. I feel like when you say something negative, like people are like, oh, you're pooping on him. Like, I'm not pooping on him.
Yeah,
like I loved watching him last year. It was amazing. It was like, dude, this is great. Revitalizing your career. But when they signed him to like that 2-year deal, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is Geno Smith.
Should have rebuilt.
We've seen him play before, and we've seen him on a pretty talented team. Like, what? Okay, like, hey, let's see where it goes. Because, a lot of people might say, well, you guys just said it also depends on where you go. And Geno went to the Jets. It's like, first of all, he's played for a few different teams. Second of all, when he played, there were certain mistakes. He didn't have that. Like, when you look at, if you are going to get another shot somewhere else, you need that X factor. You need that mobility. You need that thing that gives you that shot. And Geno had it last year, not so much this year. He is still in position to make the playoffs. So hopefully, again, Geno, I'm rooting for you. It sounds like I'm not, but I am. I'm rooting for you. I 100%.
Hard, man. It's in Arizona. It's on the road.
Kyler's playing for pride. Kyler right now is playing, I'm your guy. Kyler's saying, I'm the dude. Yep. I'm your guy. I'm the dude. You don't need Caleb Williams. Go get me some freaking help. That's what you need to do. Yep. Right? You got me a tight end. Great job. Look at how I'm using him. McBride is elite. Right. McBride is looking like he's going to be the second coming of Travis Kelce a few years ago. Like this guy, he's got Hollywood Brown. He's making Marquise Brown look like, and I think there's one other gentleman. I don't remember his name, but he's making another rookie look like he's just absolutely fantastic.
Connor behind him, like
right. Go get him some help. That's what he's saying.
Go get him a defense.
Go get him something.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's gonna be tough, dude. Like Seattle they have a fight on their hands for sure. Yeah. Arizona, and it's a divisional game. Like that's the thing. People forget, like, no matter how bad a team, you could be a 1-win team. Right. If it's in your division, like they're going to play you hard. They're going to fight you. And they know Seattle has the playoffs on the line. Yep. Like they know if they beat them, they're probably going to knock them out. So they want to take pride in that. And they probably played themselves out of like a top 3 draft pick last week by winning. So they don't really care anymore. Like they'll get a top 8. Like they'll be fine. Yeah. And they're gonna go play, man. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a hard game for Geno for sure.
Simple. Tampa Bay wins, they're in. Green Bay wins, they're in. And we will move right along. But yes, dude, I can't wait. There's some good football on this weekend, man. If you get a chance, people, there's some good football on. Games on Saturday, games on Sundays.
Saturday to Sunday night. Let's go.
Check it out. As you guys know, I did not make the playoffs. Don't listen to me ever when it comes to playoffs, even though I will say I told everybody if I made the playoffs, because I was a game out in every league, I would have been a problem. My team just put up 180 points in championship week. I was like, and I put up over 120, over 130. Like I would have been a problem, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. It is what it is. Big Z, how'd you finish?
In my league, I won, dude. Yes. I won the championship by let's say 17 points, 159, 142. So, I felt good about that. I went 13-3 overall with the playoff wins. So, I secured the bag, got some $500. It was a nice little payout.
There you go.
Nice little New Year's gift to me. And the other league I got, well, obviously we already talked about our league last week or 2 weeks ago. And the other league I got second place. I lost in the championship by 10 points. So that's okay. I did good. I made the playoffs in 4 leagues overall. Yeah. So I can't complain about that. I know what I'm doing when I'm drafting. Good enough to make the playoffs is all you want. And once you make the playoffs, kind of like whatever happens. But I feel good. I feel a successful season yet again.
100%, man. And I just got to say, shout out to Chisel. Shout out to Chad, my boy. That's right. Chad won the championship at Brevity. Dude, well earned. His team was fire. I traded him a couple pieces that backfired for me tremendously. So, hey, shout out to Chad. Great job. Great W. We're going to have him on soon so we can boast and we can ask him the question that everybody wants to know. Who were the pieces, Chad? Who did you draft? So next year we can grab those same guys. Shout out to him. Shout out to Weak Sauce. Monique, she came in second place. She came up short. Actually, tough day for her at the office. She lost in 2 championships. and she lost in both. We were talking to her New Year's. That's a bummer. That
Can't
is
finish.
a bummer.
Can't finish.
Can't finish. Dang, you heard it here first. She's won multiple champions. She's pretty good. Here's the thing about Monique that makes her so phenomenal is she doesn't listen to like any podcasts. She just looks at who's good. Like she doesn't do the thing that we all do when we're sitting here going like, granted, she got like a player like Devon Achane, like she had Achane in a few leagues. Like she'll look at like the rankings and stuff, but in terms of like players overall, like she will look at this is the starter, right? So if she looked at Montgomery and she looked at Gibbs, she'd say, this is the starter Montgomery. I'm riding Montgomery. Whereas me, the fool says, I'm grabbing Gibbs because look at his upside.
Sometimes that's the way to do it, man. Like with fantasy, that's the way to do it. Like there's so many numbers you can look at and so many.
Right.
That's why, and we have hated on these like advanced stats like in the past.
Right.
Like these are stupid, blah, blah, blah. But we use them when we're drafting our fantasy team.
It's stupid. It's just dumb. We're looking at guys like, no, this guy's got all the upside. This guy's going to be the guy. And it's like, nope.
Some made up stat says so. But look, no, just do what Monique does. Look at the depth chart.
Look at who is going to win.
You will at least get second placed at worst every single year.
This guy is the number one receiver. And granted, a rookie might come along at some point, but guess what? Chances are week 6, week 7, week 8, that guy's probably on the waiver wire. So even if you don't draft him, whoever got him at number 12 undoubtedly had a bye week at some point and probably dropped him. Go start hunting around. If you're keeping it on your boys, go get you that handcuff. I definitely need to change the way I play because although I did do super well, came to the playoffs in scoring, I still didn't make the playoffs, got to make the playoffs to compete in the playoffs. Speaking of playoffs, oh my God, Big Z, the college playoffs. Look, for all the hate that the committee took, they nailed this thing, man. I mean, the only team that could make an argument was Georgia because Georgia just absolutely stomped Florida. I mean, there was Florida State. I mean, it was ugly.
It was the ugliest.
Hard pressed to say that they're not one of the top 4, but the teams that did play, and maybe it's a good thing that Georgia didn't play because these games were good. We had an overtime game and a last minute swat away. Did you watch these games, Big Z?
Yeah. Michigan, the Alabama-Michigan game, the last play for Alabama, the QB sneak call, I was like, bro, Saban, you've had such a great game. Like, this is such a good game. And then you call that play at the end. Like, what a terrible play call that was to end that game. But I was excited. I was obviously going for Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. I'm a big Harbaugh guy since I'm a Niner fan.
Yep.
And, just the way that he came out of that game as a winner, never made it to the championship game or round in his career in college. And just to put the whole sign stealing, cheating thing behind him, just made up media overblown thing behind him. Such a huge victory, moral victory for him. Michigan itself, I honestly think that they're going to have a problem on their hands with Penix and the Huskies. Talking about another team that's been overlooked, Penix, that
fantastic,
is so good. Like you talk about quarterbacking for his team.
Yeah,
that's him. Like he just throws the ball. He throws one of like the tightest spirals I have ever seen. Like he just throws it in between defenders' hands. Like defenders don't even have a chance to get it because it's such a tight spiral and so fast and so accurate. And he's so confident. I love it. Like Michigan hasn't seen an offense like that.
Yep.
The defense on Washington's side is also beastly. So if I think you clean up a few things on defense for them, I'm gonna pick Washington. I'm going with them. I just think that it's a great story. And again, they were not favored in the Pac-12 championship game. They were favored to lose by 10. They were favored to lose by 5 against Texas, and they were both like the higher seeds in all those games. And so I hope they win, and I hope they give the Pac-12, a great, send out since it's ending, sadly. But I'm picking them. I think that Penix, and if he wins, there's a good chance he goes over Caleb Williams in the draft, I think.
What I'm going to say that was very clear to me because I sat and I watched this. Arwen was not feeling good. And one of the perks of having a baby who doesn't feel good is she has to sleep. And so when she sleeps on my chest, and I love it. and she just passed out. So I couldn't move. I was a victim of the moment.
You had to stay.
I had to stay and watch. I had to sit on the couch for hours and just let her sleep so that she could feel better. Not for me, for me because I'm lazy, but for her because, my daughter's very important to me. So I needed to make sure that she was okay. So I had to unfortunately sit and watch these games. And I'm gonna be honest with you, dude, Penix was the best college player I saw in any game across the board. He looked like a pro quarterback playing with college kids. I mean, the throws he was making. Right. The worst that Washington looked was when the coach was like, all right, stop throwing it around. We're going to start running the ball. We're going to start eating up the clock. And it was part of their game plan. Granted, it almost bit them in the butt. Right. I don't think they can do that against Michigan. Lesson learned, if you get up, stay up, keep hucking the ball. But he looked unquestionably like the best player on the field, period. I think this is going to be a great game. Let me just say, anybody talking about this is going to be like a blowout, I think it's going to be a really good game.
Yep.
I think both these teams are good. It's a great matchup. I will say I am going to ride with Michigan only because I think their defense, I think Washington is going to struggle a little bit with that blitz. I mean, Alabama's offensive lines historically have been amazing. Some of the best offensive lines throughout college football was Michigan was able to do to get to that quarterback. I mean, Washington's O-line is great. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. All I'm saying is Michigan's ability to change their looks defensively, it's going to be tough to deal with. And I think ultimately, I like Washington's coach, but I think this is going to this is one of those games that I think is going to come down to coaching. And I got Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And I think Penix, I'll tell you this, Penix going to have a game. I think Penix will probably still be the best player on the field. So if Washington wins, I will not be surprised. Having said that, I'm riding Michigan, and I think Jim Harbaugh will be the difference.
Yeah, you look at, if you had to compare teams and who they look like from in the NFL, Michigan looks like the Ravens. Obviously both Harbaugh brothers, but they're just, when you talk about that defense, it's very much a bully type defense. They're just going to bully you and they're going to create takeaways. And on offense too, they're just going to run the ball down your throat and they're going to play tough and they're going to win in the trenches. And so if Michigan wins, I think it is because of that fact, because of their defense, because of the style of football that they play. So yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it comes down to the last couple minutes. I'm saying with Washington, they probably win at by a field goal at the end. They had a great story with that kicker. During the Sugar Bowl, they talked about and how he made the team and all that stuff. So, but yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good game. Either way, whoever wins, I think that these are the two teams that needed to be in the championship, and I'm glad that they're in it, both those teams. So
100%. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to be watching. I can't wait. Wrapping it up, some baseball. Let's do it, Big Z.
Let's do it.
The Braves, the top team. The Dodgers have made move after move, right? And move after move. We're not in baseball season yet. This is like a little glimpse. I cannot wait to talk baseball. When I tell you, if you listen to this podcast and you love baseball, even if you don't love baseball, keep listening because we're gonna make you love baseball.
We'll make you love baseball.
We're gonna make you love baseball.
We'll make you a fan.
We'll make you. It's fact. The Braves come in at the number one in the power ranking, and I'm going to tell you why this should not bother any Dodger fan. You do not want to be number one. You've been number one for years, and every time you choke. Let the Braves choke. Let them have the curse of being the highest power ranked team throughout the year, and then you just do your thing because they found out last year, just like the Dodgers have found out another year, just like other teams have found out when they're the number one. Just because you're number one does not mean you're actually number one. So this does not bother me at all, especially with the unknowns. Yamamoto, again, I'm really hoping that dude can ball. I've seen a lot of really great video on him. Ohtani, we already know that dude can ball. Walker Buehler coming back. Tyler Glass now. Hopefully Clayton. It would just be weird to see him in any other jersey. Hopefully he's back. That would be wild. But again, I mean, it was pretty crazy to see the Braves number one. But I mean, they're a good team, man. Acuna,
they're a good team.
They got a good squad.
As a Dodger fan, I'm excited that the Dodgers weren't ranked number one. We need to prove it first. We accumulated all these stars, but we have to prove it on the field. We have to win games. We have to win a playoff series with these guys first. And then we could talk about maybe being ranked number one next year in the preseason rankings. I like that pressure that's being put on them. And they deserve, you have to have that pressure, and it's okay. So yeah, the Braves deserve it. They have a great organization. They have a great minor league system. Do I think that the Braves are better than Dodgers? No, but the Dodgers, like I said, they just have to prove it. It's as simple as that.
Do I think the Braves are better than the Dodgers? I think a lot of teams are better than the Dodgers if Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman go 1 for 26. I think
Exactly.
a lot of teams would beat us if that is the
So you
case.
have to yeah, exactly.
You
So you
gotta
gotta
prove
prove
it.
it. And that's why they're not number one. Yeah.
Love where you're coming from, Big Z. This has been fun. We're gonna start coming at you a lot more consistently now that the holidays are over. The baby is here. We'll be with you every week.
Right.
Our episodes are gonna come out Wednesdays or Thursdays. Wednesdays are looking really good for us right now. So you typically we're out on Wednesdays, but for foreseeable future or for right now, it might be Thursdays. We'll let you know. Just keep posted. We'll follow us on Instagram. Usually I let you know there. I'll come out with the video. Hey, podcast is up. Love you. Thanks for listening. Big Z, say bye to the people.
People, thank you. Happy New Year. I hope 2024 is the best year yet for your life. And then it just keeps getting better from there. But we got some great stuff coming at you guys. Baseball season's coming back. Playoffs, March Madness.
Can't wait.
Hockey, NFL, NBA, NFL playoffs. Like it's great. We're coming at you guys like always. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great night. Tell your friends, tell your family. We are Brevity Sports. We will catch you.